Good day and welcome back to Chapter Day. It is Friday. Happy Friday. Yay! Safely through another week. For those of you who have been out and about or working out every day of the week, I pray that you have a relaxed and blessed weekend because rest is needed. So today we are going to be reading 1 Samuel chapter 21. And yesterday we saw David and Jonathan working out a pact to alert David if his life was really in danger from Saul, which is Jonathan's father, or not. And Jonathan also made a pact with David that he would be kind to his seed after him, because there was always that possibility, hey, I might be killed in war, you become king, please remember me and my my children and children's children. And David agreed, and he kind of helped Jonathan helped David to go out to safety from Saul by shooting the arrows out to alert him that his life was in danger from Saul. So let's see what happens from then, okay? Verse 21. And there's a nice verse that came out of 1 Samuel chapter 20 that I always like. The Lord be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed forever. Yes, and I think there was another one. Yes, the Lord be between thee and me forever. So that was David and Jonathan's pact with each other. Chapter 21, short chapter today. Then came David to Naboth to Ahimelech the priest, and Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, The king hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee. And I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. Now therefore, what is under thine hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in mine hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under mine hand, but there is hallowed bread, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common. Yea, though it was sanctified this day in the vessel. Okay. So David has left the field where Jonathan and he were making their pacts, and he now is running away from Saul. He's gone to the place where the priest Ahimelech is. So he may have gone to the temple, or a place called Nob, where the priest dwelt. And Ahimelech is the name of the priest at that time. Now, Ahimelech was afraid when he saw David. He either knew of what Saul was planning to do to David, because word gets around. People can read actions, and they hear things, and they know Saul is after David. So when he sees David by himself, he's a bit afraid, because he's wondering, he doesn't want to get himself tied up between Saul and David's rift, because he knows Saul is a crazy person. Saul will kill anyone who stands in his way. So David is lying to the priest. He told him something about being on the king's business and that no one is supposed to know what he's supposed to be doing. That's a lie. So he asked the priest for loaves for bread, because he's hungry, of course. And the priest told him there was only that bread that was consecrated or hallowed, meaning the shewbread. Now in the sanctuary, there was always supposed to be fresh bread put out every day. And this bread was supposed to be changed up. So I guess once it was prayed over and offered up to God, I guess they could do with it after that, whatever needed to be done. But most times it was supposed to be burnt, if I'm correct. But David says, well, the priest said, if you and your men are, clean, meaning they had no kind of interaction with women or anything like that, then they could have the bread, even though it was sanctified. So David said, yes, we'll take the bread. The men are holy. We haven't had women 3 days, and as a matter of fact, the bread is already is reaching to its past stage, because maybe the day has been fast spent also. Verse 6. So the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no bread there but the shewbread that was taken from before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chiefest of the herdmen that belonged to Saul. And David said unto Ahimelech, And is there not here under thine hand spear or sword? For I have neither brought my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. And the priest said, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the valley of Elah, behold, it is here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it, for there is no other save that here. And David said, There is none like that, give it me. And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul, and went to Achish, the king of Gath. Now, I was upset with David for this, because in his process to get away from Saul, he came to the priest, but he's putting the priest in a vicarious position. As a priest, he knows he maybe should help him, but he knows that David is fleeing Saul. I don't think he fully believes what David has said, that he's on some special business for Saul. And then giving him the shewbread really wasn't what it was, that was not the procedure for taking care of that bread. Like I said, they either burnt the bread the next day after they switched it out with fresh bread. But David wanted it. And then David maybe presented himself kind of threateningly too, because, he is a kind of desperate man, a fugitive being on the run. So he doesn't have any weapons, and he asked the priest if the priest has any kind of sword or spears around, and the priest tells him, yes, there is Goliath's sword, and he gave it to him. Now, there's always a glitch in the system, because at that time in the sanctuary, in that area, there is this man who works for Saul called Doeg. He's an Edomite, and he's the chief of the herdsmen of Saul. So he is there. I don't know if David didn't see that or what, but Doeg saw David come into the sanctuary with the priests. Verse 11. And the servants of Achish said unto him, Is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And David laid up these words in his heart, and was so afraid of Achish the king of Gath. And he changed his behavior before them, and feigned himself mad in their hands, and scrabbled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fall down upon his beard. Then said Achish unto his servants, Lo, you see the man is mad, wherefore then have you brought him to me? Have I need of madmen, that you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? Oh my gosh. Desperation is a horrible thing. Whew. So now David is so needing to find a place of refuge. He goes to the enemy's camp. The king of Gath. Gath is one of the Philistine cities. The giant Goliath he fought came from Gath. And there, when he goes, they recognize him. They pick, the king said, Isn't this David who fought Goliath and killed him? Why is he here now? Isn't he the one that slain 10,000s of our people? What is he doing here? So now David gets scared, because he didn't realize he was known. So he starts to pretend that he's crazy. He starts to drool on himself, and the spittle is running down his beard, and he's looking a mess, like a man out of his mind. So that was his pretense, so that the people, now that they know it's him, he can't pretend to be somebody else, but he can pretend to be out of his mind. So that's what he begins to do. So the king is now saying, the king of Achish, the king's name is Achish. He says, why did you bring this madman here? Now that he's out of his mind, he's no good to anybody. Why are you bringing him in my presence? Do you think I want him in my house? Have mercy. This is where David has reached. Whew, he's just so desperate to find a place of refuge, a place to hide from Saul, that he runs into the hand of his enemies and feign madness in order for them not to suspect that he's in his right mind and really just looking for a place to hide. Mercy. Oh my God. Sometimes, you know what, we can find ourselves in some terrible places, and sometimes no fault of our own, because truth be told, David has done nothing to Saul to warrant him running after him to kill him. But we will see how this whole situation unfolds. That's the end of our chapter 21 for today. Keep listening, because faith does come by hearing God's word. We'll see how God unravels the whole situation. Take care. Bye.